Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and The Last of Us is ending in just over a week now with only 2 episodes left. Now, I'm fully prepared for the series to end because I think a lot of people will change their mind on the quality of this season overall when that finale airs, as we've seen progressively happen with each subsequent episode of this season. A lot of people have been coming to me in my personal life, other YouTubers in this sphere are saying, hey, I'm just bored with it, turning it off, not caring. Now, I can't refute the absolute success that this show is. A lot of people are loving it, and the people who are going to be changing their mind by the end, I don't think will make a massive difference to the objective success, but people are changing their mind, and that's something that's been great to see because I've been vindicated in a lot of my opinions, and people have been telling me, hey, you were right all along. Even people in my personal life who are not involved in this culture sphere, who are not nerds, who don't care about any of this, are coming to me and saying, yeah, it's just really boring. Why should I care about this show? It's overhyped to the max. I had a personal friend of mine say those exact words to me this last week, and I think that is going to be a general sentiment once the show ends, at least in our sphere and with a lot of the general public. Of course, they're going to have their diehard fans still, but that's not going to change no matter how the ending of this show goes, and that's what we've seen a lot. They just love the show, and nothing it can do is wrong. But something that Bella Ramsey said this week at Paris Fashion Week has me concerned in a positive way, if you can understand what I mean by that. I'm concerned that they're going to go crazy, but I'm excited that they're going to go crazy because that's only good for me. But these comments lead me to believe a fan theory of mine that a lot of people were talking about before the show aired. Gary from Marauder mentioned it. I've said it in a few different streams and on videos, but this is pure speculation at this point. Everything I'm going to talk about from this point on in the video is 100% speculation, but built on spoilers for both the video games and potentially the show itself. So if you're worried about spoilers, definitely check off the video now and come back later and see if I was right in my prediction. But this fan theory can barely call a fan theory. It's more fans of the game theory than fans of the show theory because it is devastating to the show if these comments by Bella Ramsey are accurate. Now, these comments that I'm referring to are from Paris Fashion Week, where most of this article is just talking about Fashion Week and that's whatever. But at the very end of the article, she talks about the final episode. It says, it's going to divide people massively, massively. Now, on the surface, that doesn't seem like much of a bombastic comment or one that'll affect any theories regarding the finale of this show. But when you think about it, if the show was going to be accurate as they profess that it is, it wouldn't be that divisive. It's not going to divide people if it's accurate to the video game. So we can infer from that it's most likely not going to be accurate. Now, a few different things could happen that wouldn't be super divisive. The really big divisive thing that would divide people, like she's talking about, massively, massively to this degree, as she emphasizes it twice, is the theory that Garrett from Neurotic and myself have been talking about for a very long time about this show. Now, this based on a few different pieces of theorizing evidence, a few different thoughts, speculation, not really anything concrete. So again, this is pure speculation, pure speculation. Do not take this as fact, just as, hey, these comments support this theory to a certain extent. Now, that theory is that Joel will die at the end of this season rather than at the beginning of next season by the hands of Abby Smash, Abby Pump, Abby, Big Daddy Abby. Now, I do believe that this is the case for several different reasons. There are the fact that the showrunners have said they're setting up part 2 better. They're changing things like Jackson, Wyoming to be more in line with what happened in part 2. They're changing Ellie's character to be a little bit more violent, a little bit more psychotic with how she tortured that zombie in episode 3. They're changing a lot of things to make part 2 more cohesive. And that is a big mistake for a lot of fans of the original game because part 2 just pisses all over the legacy of part 1. And those are the scenes that I've had some of the biggest issue with in the first season because it's a setting up part 2, and that is a problem. So what better way to set up part 2 and to seal that this is one continuous story, not have it end on the cliffhanger that the original game did, but have it end on Joel's death, beginning Ellie's revenge quest. That'll hopefully, in their minds at least, this I can see them thinking this, tie people over to be interested in what happens in season 2. So there's that aspect of it. Then there's also, this is HBO, they might be wanting to replicate their Ned Stark end of season 1 death moment with Joel to try to be that big cinematic moment, that big television moment that everyone talks about, just like with Game of Thrones and Ned Stark's death. I can totally see that being the case. Then there's the fact that Pedro Pascal is an incredibly popular actor right now. As much as I don't really like him, I've really not enjoyed many of his performances besides Game of Thrones and way back in the day Buffy. He is incredibly popular and incredibly expensive. If they can get him all done at once, I do believe that they at least filmed his death with season 1 so they don't have to bring him back for season 2 because of how expensive he is. So At least I believe they filmed it with season 1, but I do believe that they will actually air his death in season 1 because they don't want to pay for him to come back for season 2. And I believe Bella Ramsey's comments could support this theory because anything that's going to divide people will not even compare to killing off Joel early, because that is one of the most hated decisions in video game history. It spawned so many different channels. It's what made Arcade Outpost the juggernaut it is, besides its connection to Geeks and Gamers, of course. It was a devastating event when Last of Us Part 2 came out, and it was insane the amount of drama that was going on with Naughty Dog false flagging people, copyright claiming everyone to hell and back. It was a nightmare situation for a lot of creators and a lot of gamers who just loved Joel and Ellie's story. But if it's going to divide people to this level, I believe that is the only logical explanation, unless they do something completely out of left field. If they're just coming up with their own ending and it's dividing people, that may obviously be the case. But with what we have established within the Last of Us lore, which they occasionally do adapt properly, this is the explanation that I find is the most logical and the most plausible out of everything. If they do end up killing Joel at the end of season 1, everybody who is not a Last of Us Part 2 fan will despise this show. I've talked to other people in my personal life who know nothing about the games, and I was like, hey, let me give you these potential endings. Would you change your mind on how much you love this show if this happened or this happened? I tried to not spoil it for them, obviously, and say in multiple endings, seeing what they would react to. And every single one of these personal friends and family members of mine reacted strongly to the death of Joel at the hands of Abby and the reasons why it was happening. They all said, no, that is terrible. That is wrong. That is not Joel. This doesn't make any sense. And these are people who don't know anything about the drama, don't know anything about Last of Us Part 2. A coworker of mine said, I will turn off the TV the moment he dies and never look back if that is the case. He knows absolutely nothing about any of this. He even liked the Rings of Power, so he's not exactly top brow entertainment consumer. But that decision, in context, was enough for him to say, I will not watch Last of Us anymore. And I believe that will be a general sentiment. So I think it is a huge mistake for the show to kill Joel early, but I believe it is completely plausible within the realm of possibility. The best financial, the best business, the best creative decision for this show would have been to hold it off till season 2 and at least have a good adaptation of the first game as it's season 1, whether or not I like it. A lot of people are just trying to condense it just to that. And then if people hate season 2, a lot of people can still enjoy season 1 with a firm ending, just like the game did, because that's something I can do. I have a firm ending to Last of Us 1 and can enjoy it without thinking about part 2. If they had done that, maybe this series would be looked back a lot fonder in the future. But if they do kill Joel or any of that fondness will be eradicated in a lot of the fan base. So I'm very interested to see how it turns out in just over a week now, if they will indeed kill Joel early, because if they do, I will be laughing to high heaven because I've been predicting this for a long time. But what do you guys think? Do you think she's referring to something else that might divide people this massively? I don't think an accurate adaptation of the end of the game will divide people whatsoever. So this is where my theorization and speculation occurs. Do you guys theorize or speculate other things? I'd love to hear what you guys have in the comments below. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon.
Hey, yo, are you feeling what I'm doing up in here? Oh, I know you are. Do you miss all the good, compelling stories that we used to get back in Hollywood that they ain't putting down no more? Oh, I know you missing it. So check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues, baby. Book 1, Down in Flames. Book 2, Apocalypse Then. These are currently on sale. What are you waiting for? Get your hands on them. And we got Book 3, Kill the Dark, is coming down the pipeline. Just wait for all the good stuff that's dropping. You ain't gonna be disappointed, fam.